So before we proceed further, I would kindly ask you to use our chat section for any questions that you may have, and they'll be answered as we move along. And any communication or comments that you may have, feel free to use the chat section. Also, if you would like to be informed about our future seminars, or if you would like to probably get more notes about what we'll be discussing today, you feel free to send your email address. You can post it right there, or just directly message it to me. My name is the Padion Foundation, so feel free to do that. Okay, without further ado, I would like to welcome our moderator for the day, my colleague Alex. Alex, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thanks, and Kirote, for just the introduction. And thank you, everyone. Wow, I can see we are all on time and we are excited, looking forward to today's talk. And I know many of us are expectant. I am confident that our speaker has just the right stuff for us this evening, yeah? And so we are just going to get at it. And I'm just going to ask us to use the chat section, I hope everyone can see on the screen. I'm going to read the question that is going to get us rolling. So it says, growing up, were you ever beaten for unusual mistakes? Once again, growing up, were you ever beaten for unusual mistakes? Question mark. If yes, what were some of the mistakes that led to that? Yeah, so just go to the chat and I'll be able to answer some questions, probably even share mine as we walk along. So I'm going to start with Atlanta. So Atlanta is saying, when I was in class 5, I was beaten for not understanding multiplication well. I honestly wasn't getting it. And I ended up scoring great grades in maths later, but I hated maths. That's the subject, yeah, because of that experience, yeah. Then Mitch is saying that she was beaten for cheating, for not completing tasks, for stealing, yeah. And then, yeah, we can continue sharing. I think when I look back at my years, my mom is one person who believed in using the cane, and she would beat me for almost anything, yeah. I think some of the things I remember being beaten for, I remember there's once I sharpened my pencil with my teeth. I didn't have a sharpener. I didn't have a razor with me. And I thought to be creative and I used my teeth. I thought that was very cool. And I really, really got a beating for that. Yeah. I remember there's once I lost my handkerchief. When we were young, you know, maybe in nursery school or class 1 thereabout, you used to be pinned. You are just pinned your handkerchief on your shirt. Yeah. So you're meant to go, come back with it. And I think I kept losing. I used to go to school, I play. I don't know how I used to lose. Yeah. So of course, as a child, I never understood. So I could get home. My mom would ask me where my handkerchief is. And I'm wondering, what's that? And that would lead to a spanking. Yeah. So yeah, so kindly share. What are those things that got you beaten? Yeah, were you beaten for any unusual mistakes that you did? If yes, what are some of those mistakes that led to you being beaten? Yeah, today we are talking about discipline. Want to learn about discipline. So in case you have anything you'd like to share, maybe you can post that on the chat. I'm waiting. Ama you people, you are never beaten. You know, that could also be an option. Yeah, so Mama Ivy is saying, for losing money on my way to the shop. Wow, memories, I tell you. Yeah, so Mama Ivy was beaten for losing her money on her way to the shop. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. Yeah, and then Chichi is saying that she was beaten for climbing trees. Wow, she was beaten for climbing trees. That's an interesting one. That's very funny. I love that. What else are you beaten for? Yeah. So maybe we can get 1, 2 more and then we get started. Amos Ofula is saying, I was beaten for staying out long while playing. Yeah. That just sounds like a typical boy punishment. Yeah. You went playing, you forgot about time, and you discover it's late, it's already dark. By the time you're getting home, mom is angry, dad is angry. And yeah, you know what is coming. Thanks a lot for that. One more, and then we can get started with today's talk. Yeah. We can see one, two more. Okay, Marlene is saying, yeah, keep that coming. Marlene is saying, I was beaten for forgetting to do tasks assigned to me. There's someone else who's saying I was beaten. I opened and dismantled my dad's radio cassette player. Wow, an engineer in the making, I tell you. Caroline is saying, I was beaten for asking for clarity on instructions. Sasa unauliza nini? And the beating started. Wow, Nancy is saying, was it beating or attempting murder? Yeah, looking straight in the eye during a lecture, not looking at them. Yeah, for looking at visitors. For not, those are many, for not looking at them. Yani, you are beaten for anything, basically. You had to look down. Thanks a lot for that. Let's see what else. Wow, those are interesting ones. So thank you. I think you can just keep them coming, even as we walk along. But those are interesting things. Reminds us of way back, yeah, when we were little kids. Thanks a lot for your answers. Now, I don't want to take us much more time. I don't want to keep us for long. So allow me to welcome our speaker for today. Just 1 minute. Yeah, you can keep sharing. You can keep sharing. My goodness. Yeah, thank you. So allow me to welcome my speaker. This is Catherine Simiyu, someone I know personally. I've known for quite some number of years. So Catherine is a mother for 25 years. Yeah, so she has been a mother for 25 years, and she's gotten what are called 2 sets of children. Set 1 is 3 young adults, one aged 24, one aged 22, and one aged 20. Yeah, so that's set number 1. So set number 1, the oldest is aged 24. Then there's one aged 22, there's one aged 20. So that's set 1 of the children. Then comes set 2. These are 2 teenagers. One is 13 years old and one is 16 years old. Yeah. But besides that, Catherine Simiyu is a teacher. Yeah. And she has been a teacher for 26 years. She's been teaching children from the age of 5 all the way to the age of 18. She's a behavioral coach and a teens mentor. Like, who else can help us understand this topic than Catherine Simiyu, experienced as a parent, experienced as a teacher. I know she's taught all kinds of children, and some you can be sued for punishing. Yeah, and I just want to hear her story. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Catherine. Karibu. And yeah, looking forward to what you have to say. So you can go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex, for that introduction. I'm happy to be here, and I'm honored to have been given the opportunity to share the topic of discipline. I'm actually thrilled. And as I was preparing this, I kept talking to my children to understand, is this right to share? Do you think should I say this? Yes. And today morning, I practiced something that I have, I'm going to share. And we've fought many fights with my kids. And I don't only just take care of my children, I always have at least 3 other relatives. So my house, if you buy a tray of eggs, we eat once or twice, and the tray is done. And so it's an honor to be a parent. It's been a joy. I'm looking at how we've come all the way, and it's been such a great journey. Let me just try and move to the next slide. I have my technician here. Okay, so we are looking at discipline. And we know that with discipline, there comes success. Because without discipline, there's a lot that will not go right as you move on with the parenting journey. And so it's very important that this word is engraved in every parent's mind as we walk this journey. And that will help us just understand the nitty-gritties of daily life activities. Next slide. Just a minute. Okay, disciplining children. I've highlighted some words that are very important when you're talking about discipline. And one of them is teaching. Okay. And what are you teaching? You're teaching responsible behavior. And you're talking about appropriate discipline. You're talking about consequences that will be up to them if they don't get disciplined. And you're teaching them to own their own actions. And ultimately, the main goal is to encourage the child to learn to manage both their feelings and behavior. Most of the behavioral issues that come up stem from emotions, feelings that are hurt. And so you find, even as parents, you struggle to manage your child's behavior because of just a few things that can be managed in terms of behavior, feelings and emotions. And so as a parent, we need to be encouraged. Be encouraged knowing that it's not easy. It's not very easy. And so when you're thinking about discipline, it's a continual everyday process. It's not a one-off thing, okay? It's a continuous everyday process to a point the child now will be able to master expectations and be able to move on with life. So be prepared. It's not an easy journey. So be prepared as a parent. Now, the Bible is our guide as Christians. For those of us who are here and are Christians, the Bible says in Proverbs 13, verse 24, that he who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him. Diligently is the word. And so I went out to look for any other versions, or what exactly is this about sparing your child and hating your son and diligence. And so this means that in parenting, we have to do it with love and for the purpose of training the child. So if there's no love, then you will discipline to cause pain. You will discipline out of anger, and so you will cause pain. So I looked at the word diligent, and it means showing care and conscientiousness in one's work or duty. So parenting is a duty that we have to do, and you have to show care. So most of our parents looked at, or most of us today, look at disciplining children and sparing the rod in terms of fighting. It's all about war. But this is not supposed to be the case. It is meant to be with a lot of love and a lot of care. And so it's very important that you realize that you cannot use force or you cannot use anger when you're disciplining children. According to Colossians chapter 3, verse 21, it says, fathers, do not embitter your children. That is according to NIV. And then do not provoke your children, according to ESV and KJV. And do not desperate your children. That's according to the Holman's Bible. So when you look at these words, that means, yes, we need to discipline, but we don't need to make them feel like it's the end of the world or tortured in a way so they can feel like they've really been wrong and they need to be corrected. And so how can a father exasperate his children? One is when you do it with humiliation. Sometimes because you're angry about their actions, you can easily humiliate children. And so this puts them in a place where they feel it's no longer discipline, but it's almost like you just want to hurt them. And so it's important that as parents, when we are working on the disciplining our children, we need to do it with love, with a bit of care, because that is what is expected of us. Now, a statement here, it's easier to build a child than it is to repair an adult. So when you look at this statement, it means preparing a child for life is easier than when you're dealing with the repercussions of they've already messed up and you have to correct it. So if this is the case, then how do we build up a child? So I want to define discipline and punishment, separating the two. Discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Okay, so look at the strategies that will help you as a parent be able to discipline. But punishment is making a child suffer for having a problem. Like we've had in the chat where people are saying, you were beaten for not understanding times table. This child has a problem and you're punishing them for having that problem. And L.R. Nost says, to raise problem solvers, let's focus on solution, not retribution. And it's very important that even as we want to use the rod, as the Bible says, let's use it in a way that will help a child solve a problem and not necessarily suffer for having a problem. So most people or most parents or most of us took the rod literally as it is, kiboko. So all you need to do is beat the hell out of that child. Now, what is the most effective way of disciplining a child? We're looking at the most powerful tool, which is attention at all ages. Looking at children when they're very young, they love attention. They will cry and hold on to you. What do you do as a parent? Do you push them away or do you try to handle what they're dealing with so that you can make them feel better? Reinforce good behavior by giving attention. Remember, all children want their parents' attention, even as young teenagers or young adults. They need to know that they can do something good and you'll catch them doing something good. Don't just look at the things they do that are wrong and deal with them. Now, on my screen right now, children learn what they live. They don't just learn what they are told. Children learn what they live. So, for example, if a child lives with criticism, they'll just learn to condemn. They never look at things in another way, but it's always pointing a finger and say, it must be you did this. It's always a blame game. If they live with hostility, they learn to fight. If in your house as parents, you're always fighting, always arguing, always having issues, this child, you'll find those are the children you're called to school because they fought. If a child lives with fear, they will learn to be very apprehensive. They never want to try things because it will just go wrong. It will go wrong anyway. If a child lives with pity, they learn to feel sorry for themselves. And there's nothing as bad as a child feeling sorry for themselves because they're unable to do things because they know, I don't think I can do it. If you're always condemning them and ridiculing them and making them feel small, they will always feel shy and they will not want to try things. If a child lives with jealousy, they learn to be envious. If they live with shame, they learn to feel guilty all the time. You always are shaming them, putting them on the spot, okay? And they feel like, I'm always picked upon. They will always be guilty over nothing and everything. If a child lives with encouragement, they will learn to be confident. So if you keep telling them, well done, you've really tried, can you push yourself again? That child will want to try more and more in school, at home, behavior and everything. If you're tolerant with them and you allow mistakes with guidance, then this child will be very patient with people in life. And that is what we want from our adults when we are handing them over. Now, children feel anxious. And sometimes adults think they don't. You're always thinking, ni nini nakusumbua? One of my kids, the older teenager, has anxiety disorder. Okay, let me not call it disorder, but anything that puts pressure on her, she's done. Exams are coming, she will not even sleep. Just read. And so kids get worried. Adults think they're the only ones who worry. Kids get worried, kids get afraid. And these feelings may go, but if they're not supported, then those feelings can easily stay. And then fear just sticks and the children just can't handle it. For example, babies are worried about being separated from their mothers. And that's why when you're leaving, the child will cry. And when you walk away, you feel like they keep crying in your mind as you go away. And that is very normal, but you need to support them. For example, children ages 2 to 4, they fear the dark. They fear wardrobes, fear sleeping alone, fear the weather, thunder and lightning, fear of shadows, fear of loud sound. Now, let me tell you what mistakes parents make when they're dealing with children. The child fears the dark And what you do is you open the door and say, nitakutupa huko nje kwa giza, ukulwe na wanyama. That is now making the fear firm up instead of helping the child. You can even carry the child and walk with them into darkness, say there's nothing wrong with darkness, just be careful. But most of us use threats in parenting, and it affects our children so much to a point they can't overcome it. Someone told me a story. They fear hospitals, and they don't know why. They just can't deal with hospitals. And even when going to give birth, it's give birth and go home. They cannot have a night in a hospital. Reason being, okay, they didn't know until now. Research was done and they found out that when they were about age 3, they were left in a children's hospital because they were sick. And so it's a children's hospital and they were left there. And so their minds locked to the fact that I just can't be in hospital. But they are not aware it was pre-memory, it was pre-farm up memory. So they're not very aware of what exactly could have caused that fear, but that is exactly what had happened. So age 3, sometimes you think they don't have memory enough to remember the things we are doing to them, but they do. For example, ages 5 to 7, they fear the dark, fear doctors, fear sudden loud noise, fear insects and animals, fear friends' rejection. And all you do is pick an insect and throw on them because you know they fear. So you see, you just want to, you want, and siblings do that a lot. They'll do things and they don't care how that child is feeling because they think it's a joke. It's a game they're playing. But at that point, all you're doing is just farm up fear that may never go away in life. Ages 8 to 11 fear ghosts. They fear losing loved ones. They fear school failure. They fear evil people. They think everybody will kidnap you. I remember my daughter, you couldn't send her to the shop. She's like, nitaibiwa. You're 11. Unaibiwa, unabebwa aje. So you will run if someone comes. They're like, no, I can't go to the shop alone. So there is fear disappointing their parents, and all they do is disappoint. What they fear most is what happens to them. And so they fear disappointing you, and all they've done is disappointed you. And so you take advantage of that and you make it deeply hurting by engraving the fear of hurting you. You've hurt me, you've disappointed me. So as a parent, we have to be careful that whatever we say is actually building and not destroying. Now, 12 to 18 fear personal safety. Am I safe? They fear school presentations. They fear death. They fear the future. They keep saying, me, I don't even know what I want to be. I don't even know if I'll be successful. That is a real fear in children ages 12 to 18. They fear self-image. What will people think? What will people say? So you see, when they're, like, for example, girls are growing and breasts are coming in, they feel like in their class, someone else has smaller breasts. They want to actually walk and fold up because they're not sure what people will say about them. And that becomes a problem. Some of them are tall and they fear being too tall. Some of them are too small in their class and they feel like, why can't I grow taller? You see, it's a real fear, yet there's nothing they can do about it. But there it is. So you as a parent, your work is to encourage them and tell them, you know what, you're very beautiful. Nobody should say anything about you. They feel like some of them feel like their eyes are too big. Some of them feel like one child told me, I just have hockey stick legs, you know, and you have to encourage them as a parent so they know that this is not what you think it is. Fear of abuse. If someone, for example, ages 12 to 8 have started having crushes in school. And so imagining that you have a crush on someone and they'll tell you no, it's a real fear. And they also fear world events. So it's very important to affirm your children as they grow up, and don't use what they fear about to make them feel worse. Now, as I prepare as I bring up my teenagers and my young adults, we have little fights that, you know, at some point someone says, but mom, you can say this, you don't have to shout, okay? I said, every mother must shout. And they tell me, you don't have to shout, you just say. And so like today morning, I practiced and I opened my bedroom door and I said, we leave for church in the next 30 minutes. Of course, there are people who just in, out, up, down, they never do things on time. By the time you want to leave now, somebody's looking for their shoes. And so I said, we leave in 25 minutes. If you can hear me, respond. And then, yeah, we've had. And then around 10 minutes, I said, we leave in 10 minutes. If you can hear me, respond, yes. People are in their rooms preparing. Some are still in the bathroom. There are people taking breakfast. like I told you, I have a big family. So you always have people just doing things here and there. And when it was 5 minutes, I walked down the stairs, and normally I walk with a third. I'm just stamping my feet so they know I'm leaving. And I said, driver in the car, if I have a driver, I'm leaving. And everybody was out. But previously, I would just shout, you people, why are you delaying me? Why do you keep doing this? In fact, at some point, I used kiboko. If I step out of the house before you, unakula kiboko. You know, I've used all manner of methods to parent. Instead of saying, hurry up, we are leaving in 10 minutes. And very calmly, we are leaving in 10 minutes. So kindly prepare. Instead of saying, you're going to get hurt. You see, when you say you're going to get hurt, already the fear of getting hurt makes a child stop. They're climbing somewhere, you say, be mindful and take care of yourself. Be careful as you do what you're doing. So they understand, be careful. But you're going to get hurt tells them, stop. That is not the right thing. So you make a child fear to try things. So what are some of the positive phrases we can use when we're talking to our kids? So I'm projecting them so you can be able to see them. Especially when they're little, like, don't jump. Because some of them can jump and jump and jump and jump and climb and jump. Feet on the ground. I said feet on the ground. So repeat once, twice, and stop there. Today in church, I sat next to a lady who had 3 small kids, because today in our church, kids didn't go for Sunday school. And she had like ages 5, 3, and 2. And they wanted her phone, and so they were playing games very loud. And I was looking at her and I'm thinking, okay, fine, I was there. But you can actually keep that phone in the bag and not give them, you know? Like, what are you training them? Because whatever you do, in fact, one of them screamed and she just gave the phone. And then the game was played so loudly and we're in church. So put your toys down gently, because sometimes you want to try and throw, and just don't throw those toys. The moment you use a lot of don't, children are tempted to try, I think even adults, because I pass town and I see usikojoe hapa, and that's where men are going to susu. And I'm wondering, it's written usikojoe hapa, so don't makes people want to try. So try and use positive affirmations when you're giving instructions. Instead of saying, stop yelling, be quiet, please speak softly. Just speak softly, I'm listening. They'll realize you're not fighting, you're just there, okay? So it's important to try and avoid don't do this, don't throw away. Don't throw that, please hand to me. And this is when they're young. As young as 1 year, you're training them to take up responsibility so that they're able to do things. As they grow up, they now farm up and become people who know responsibility, people who can take up jobs and do them. So it's important that, stop interrupting. I can see you want to talk. Wait for a moment, please. I have done this with my 13-year-old for the longest time. When you see, read mom's emotions. When you look at her and you see, she will not take what you're saying. Just don't do it then. Mom, you can see I am, you can see I'm on a phone call or I'm talking to someone. Can you wait? So with time, they get to know that, you even read emotions before you deal with someone. We need to teach children to control themselves. It's more effective than trying to control them. As much as we say teenagers are always on their phones, you need to model, not manipulate. A child in my class, one of my classes in school said, my father is a phone addict. And he's always on TikTok or WhatsApp, or he puts his phone down before he starts eating, he's already picked it. So when this child gets her own phone, of course she'll do exactly what you're saying, as much as you say, don't. For those of us parents maybe who drink alcohol, you're telling children alcohol is bad, but dad, you're the one who's drinking. I mean, they can see. So you're modeling, you're not, as much as you think you're training, you're modeling. Lead, don't intimidate. We are leaving in 10 minutes, be the first out of the house. Not you running back to the room, picking this, running back, picking this, and yet you've said, we are leaving. When a child is going through an emotion, don't shame them, support them. Huyu naye analialia kwa nini? Mbona anapenda kumwaga machozi? You need to handle their emotions a bit carefully so that they are able to handle them on their own at some point. Encourage them, don't threaten. I used a lot of threats with my first set. Nitakutandika, and then you don't do it. So what have you said? You're saying things you can't do. And so children just learn to know, those are empty threats. So can you, as a parent, can you even make notes on how you're going to do these things? Like, so that you even have a tick box of, I did not just threaten, I actually did it. We've left for church and we've left someone who is still looking for CG or what. And you drive away and you go. And they stay in the house and they're like, where? This is serious. But nitawacha, I will leave someone. But you never leave someone. Okay? So we're looking at anxiety. Children are very anxious, like I said earlier, and they want to control people and emotions. Like little kids, they will whine and cry and just do things to get your attention. So how do you handle it? Remember, it's an anxiety. It's not disturbing you. They're anxious about something. They're unable to sleep. And you put them to bed and they keep, they're not even crying. They just want your attention because they're going through an anxiety of some kind and it's disturbing them. So as a parent, you need to give the attention you think it deserves. Okay, can we talk? What is it? Go sit with them on that bed, even lie down and say, why are you crying? Can you now sleep? Not, you keep crying. If I come there, you're already threatening and you won't even go. At some point, they'll just sleep. Sometimes children are very angry about something, maybe something that happened in school. And in my house, it's a lot about siblings. This has done this one. This has done this. I haven't had complaints about school. I've had a lot about, Derek has done this. Victor has done this. At one point, Victor made a comment, my second one, and he said, hey, Alvin, I didn't know you're that handsome. And then Alvin said, oh. Then he said, how understand jokes? It hurt me. Because you see, they've just burst someone's bubble of feeling nice. And so I'm always on point to deal with that and sit here. That was very wrong. Can you apologize? Mom, it's a banter. I don't care about banters because some banters are so hard to deal with. Sometimes the child is defiant and they're not going to listen. Whether you do what, they will not take it. So how do you handle it? It's very important that as a parent, you learn to engage with their emotion. Sometimes they have very high expectations of themselves and they're unable to handle anything at home. It is a cause of trouble and it's a cause of anxiety. They live and fake an illness to avoid a school activity because maybe they don't have the outfit because you've been told, come CG in what dress? And so they're feeling like, I don't think I have that kind of outfit and people have this type of shoes. That can cause anxiety and the child will say, I'm not feeling well, I can't go to school. By the way, they can have pain in their stomach, in their headache. It's not faked, it's real pain, but it's an anxiety pain. So if you deal with anxiety, you help the child solve the problem more than saying, oh, unajifanya, hiyo kichwa iumi, ama you give Panadols, yet you will not deal with the problem. Some kids struggle with paying attention. Some struggle with uncertainty. There's a child of mine, if you tell them we are going out, they'll be like, why didn't you tell me yesterday? Me today, I want to read. Something like that. So if it's uncertain, they will not take part. And it can cause anxiety if you force them. Everybody has to go. That can cause anxiety. Little ones will cry and not be able to stop crying because they're anxious about something. So anytime you see a child whining and behaving in a certain way, it's very important to check what emotion they're dealing with before you conclude. Now, this is an image of a parent. And sometimes you do it out of humor. You're doing it out of anger. And you throw words at a child. And those words land. And they get engraved. And the child locks with those words. Okay? This is your own fault. I'm not going to take part in this. It's true. It could be their own fault. But they need support. They need support to get out of where they are. So it's very important that we learn to support and learn to use words that will help them. Remember, you as a parent, your words have a lot of power. And so if you use your words in a way that will make a child feel like the image you see, and sometimes you're not even concerned that that's what they feel. You're angry as a parent, so you're throwing words. You fool, you're stupid. And that sticks in a child's mind and they know, I am stupid. Would I ever make it? I don't think I can do anything on my own. You make the child feel like, have a lot of negative self-talk anywhere, everywhere in school. Even as young adults, I hear a lot of negative self-talk. There's a child in school I'm working with who everything about her is negative. I can't do this. I am not mathematical. I can't even draw. Everything about them is I can't. Why? Because maybe someone made a comment as early as maybe early years or early primary, and those words stuck. Failure, stress. Stop that. There's a lot of anger. Why do you get angry all the time? What's wrong with you, child? So you're always giving negative words that affect a child, and so they have a lot of negative self-talk. So instead of engaging in negative self-talk, maybe you train them to ask themselves, where is the proof that this thought is true? The proof could just be my mom said it. Who told you, and why do you believe it? My mom said it. Remember, you're the adult in this child's life, and what you say is very important. Now, young adults or teenagers always feel like all you do is criticize them. And that's their opinion. That's how they feel. But according to you, you're not even criticizing. According to you, you're dealing with their behavior. According to you, it's dealing with behavior. But young adults are feeling like you're always criticizing. Teenagers always feel like you are always criticizing. So according to a study conducted by someone called Unga, they say your adolescent needs independence. They feel like they need independence. And they just want to push boundaries. Try out what you have said they don't do. And because their brain development is not like where we are as adults, and it's not easy for them to make decisions or manage emotions. And so they will do things that you cannot imagine you as an adult doing. And that's why you find young people engage, like right now, with my class 8, I'm teaching drugs and substance abuse. And we started all the way from coffee and tea. And we've moved on to Akina Monster. And we've come now, we've done cigarettes, and now we're moving on to alcohol. And one of the studies we carried out was, what is the percentage of children that are smoking between ages 11 to 13? And they would give statistics that are very low because they are not yet there. But then I asked them, will any of you, as you move to the next level, smoke this weed and vape and all those things? They're like, but me is peer pressure. But me is peer pressure. And I'm like, but you're learning and you already know that this is wrong. You know that this will destroy you. Why would you get to the next level after you've learned it very early in life? Why would you get to the next level and decide, me, I'm trying it? And they're like, me, peer pressure is real. It is not something you just choose to do. It is so real and it affects people. We know people who we thought they would never, but they do. And they are aware that it is wrong. Now, this is the reason why. I want to play a video. I'm hoping I'll manage to play it. If I don't, I'll just explain to you. But let me just try play it.
Human brain develops and connects from bottom to top. During adolescence, 2 parts of the brain undergoing development are the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala is responsible for emotions, impulses, and instinctive behavior. It's part of the brain sometimes referred to as the emotional brain. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for executive functioning. Things like problem solving, decision making, planning, and the use of judgment. It helps us think through the consequences of our actions, inhibit behaviors, and allows us to focus on long-term goals. It is the part of the brain people often refer to as the thinking brain. Our prefrontal cortex is one of the last parts of the brain to fully develop. This usually happens by our mid-20s. The amygdala, on the other hand, develops well before the prefrontal cortex. So adolescence involves a period where these two parts of the brain aren't fully connected to one another. Because of this, a young person's decision-making and problem-solving abilities are more heavily driven by the amygdala, the emotional brain, rather than the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain. This is why adults can sometimes see young people's decisions as impulsive, poorly thought out, or driven by emotion. And whilst we know young people can accurately recognize and assess risk, they often place a higher value on a potential reward when weighed up against the potential risk. Although this might sound like a bad thing, this is actually a pivotal part of growing up. Through risk-taking and trying new things, young people are getting a chance to test their ideas and learn by trial and error. This is helpful in moving towards independence. It is how we as humans develop, learn, adapt, and grow.
Okay. Now, can I hear maybe someone raise up your hand and try to tell us what you've understood from the video, if anybody has understood something. Alex, please manage that for me.
Yeah, I can see maybe before I can see Judy. Judy, maybe you can see you've raised up your hand. Now for Beatrice, your audio is not on, so maybe you can type. Maybe you can type. That's Beatrice Mutegi, because I can see your audio is not connected in, so I know you cannot be able to speak. Yeah. But besides that, the question is, we've heard about especially the way children, the adolescent, you talked about the adolescents.
Yes.
How they reason in terms of more of emotional than rational. Yeah.
Yeah.
And any thoughts on that? Any comment? You can just unmute yourself and or chat. You can chat or unmute yourself, and we can be able to hear anyone. I believe you're chatting. Let's see. Let me go to chat. I hope we have seen the video. I have really loved it. The video on the study and how the psychology behind teenage. So if you have any thoughts, you've had the video, just post it or unmute yourself and just share. Anyone? Judy?
Maybe in the meantime, I can continue, finish.
Yes, yes, done. Please feel free. Please, as we walk along, please feel free. I can see Naomi saying, I have watched the developmental stages of teenage braining. Yeah, that's a teenage brain. Yeah, the developmental stage. And that's what you're talking about, that teenagers simply use more of their feelings than they use their ration. And it explains a lot of the decisions that they make. Yeah, Rose is saying, let's see, Rose is saying their adolescents use their emotion rather than reasoning. That's very true. Actually, I have actually discovered that. I didn't know that about. It's not just their feelings. It's actually a biological, is it a scientific reality? Yeah. Ayoyi is saying from this, it's like the young teens work and think with their emotions. Yeah. Jessica is saying teenagers operate on or want instant gratification to feel good. Yeah. And this is at times is beyond them, so to say. At times it's just the wiring, the way at that particular stage in their life, it makes it the brain is more wired to feelings, to instant gratifications rather than logic and ration. So yeah, thank you very much. Rose is saying, yeah, teens brain is still developing. Yeah, and I guess that's what the video has shared. Yeah, so you can maybe proceed even as you share more. Yeah, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. So as you live with teenagers, younger people, we've talked about how they handle emotions, but when it gets to teenage, all they'll do is they will just shut. Some of them will just shut, and you may never know what's going on because they're dealing with so much and they don't know how to deal with it. And so their brain develops, we have learned, very differently from. And so it means their decision-making process is very irrational. You find they are smoking weed is not a big deal. My friends are doing it, so I'll do it. And so when you go into details to discuss with them, you find, according to them, there's one who told me they were just giving support, was going through something, and that friend was numbing their what they were going through by smoking weed, and so they smoked with them. To them, their friends matter. So if a friend is drinking, they can easily drink because their decision making is not yet firmed up like it will be by the 20s. One of my sons used to have very ragged hair, and every time the dad would cause and say, "You're not getting to that to go to church with hair like that." And I tried causing to a point I gave up. I was like, hey, this thing will just kill me for no reason. But now they comb their hair and they look good. They're now in their 20s and they're like, they even wonder how and why they go to that level. So for me, let me now share my experience of discipline. I've tried caning, timeout, negotiation, everything I have done, especially with my first set. You know, you're getting children and you really want the best of your children, and you are hard on them, and you're feeling like, I don't want to bring up children who will not fit in the world. And so you're so firm, I used to can them for everything and anything small. And it didn't help. To me, it didn't help as much as I thought it should, because all they did is maybe close up or get away and not try things. But my set 2, it's been very interesting. I haven't beaten them. It's talking and repeating. I repeat instructions once. I said, you clean the room. Now, when it's clean, please take a photo and send to me. And that will be before you eat dinner. You will not eat in this house if you, and that day maybe ni chapati na, I mean chips na sausage, ama chips na kuku. So chips is really smelling nice. And so the ultimatum is, your room is clean, take a photo, send it to me. And I insist, take a photo even under the bed, because they'll even put things under the bed and then tuck the bed in nice. And so for the set 2, it's been more of talk, very calm talk. That is not me when I was bringing up the first set. The first set was rough, very rough. But at some point I realized, apana, it's just killing them. It doesn't really help to beat kids all the time. Of course, I use the rod. During Corona, because I had even my brother's kids here and I had 11 children in my house and we are locked down. And that time I used kiboko. When I give instructions and you're not moving, of course, utakula kiboko. So people would, you know, be on time. There's a timetable, so-and-so is washing dishes, so-and-so is cooking. And I didn't fight. I didn't, in terms of raising my voice, because if you raise your voice, you actually get angry. And when you get angry, you will fight. You will beat people with a fighting mode, not a disciplining mode. And of course, me as a parent, at the end of this game, this discipline drama, my desire is that I present to the world children who are Galatians 5:22 to 23. Present children who have love for people and love for the world. I want to present people who have joy and peace. You know, joy in their hearts, so they spread the joy. I want to present people who are patient with the world, with everybody, with themselves. I want to present people who are kind. I want to present people who are good. Can they be faithful if they're given an assignment? Are they gentle on people? Do they have self-control? Or the kids who just run out of control and then they're in trouble? And remember, the Bible tells us that against these things, there is no law. So that means when children are practicing these things in their lives, it is never magical. It is never from, I know it can be from school, but the biggest chunk of it comes from your house. How are you disciplining your children so that they're able to display these virtues that we see here, these fruits of the Spirit, so that the law does not take control of them. The law does not have its big hand on them. They're able to just live their lives peacefully. Imagine handing over a child to a daughter to a husband, and this child is an angry child. This child has no peace, is always whining about things. This child is not kind, so they can't even spread kindness. As parents, we have such a big job of bringing up children who will actually fit in the world. Now, remember, we are parenting children in a digital age. So what do? We must rescue our kids from screen addiction. At some point, I was traveling by SGR to Mombasa, and I was sitting next to a lady with a 3-year-old and a tablet. And this kid is a complete addict. And the mom tries to take it away, and he will yell to a point he sweats. He's given back. He's playing this game, and he finishes and watches this 3-year-old. So I'm looking at this child and I'm wondering, what will happen tomorrow? And anytime he screams, the mom gives the tablet. I almost took over and said, Nipe mtoto for a moment so that I can just help. Like, the mother was frustrated, but she doesn't know what to do because she allowed it, and slowly it's an addiction. It's like smoking. It's like drinking. It's there. It's already in that child. Now, your child comes to you and they want your attention. They want to talk to you, and they will always come at all ages. Please put down your phone and listen. Most of the time we find ourselves just, hey, but you're still, Nini, you're engaged, yet you are listening. All you're doing is modeling, and you're training them. Limit your the phone use, because your kids will just remember you for being on your phone. Like that kid who said, my dad is a phone addict. He doesn't talk to people at home. He's just on his phone. If your children are older, follow them on social media. Try to check out what they do. Be their friends on Facebook. Unless they unfriend you here on Instagram, you unfriend someone. So unless they unfriend you, you be there. And when they unfriend you, get concerned, cause trouble, and say, what have I done? So that whatever they do, they're conscious of mom is there. Always give attention to the children. Have eye contact. It helps the children just to engage and connect with you. Now, mental health is a big issue, and adults think they're the only ones who go through mental health problems. But the truth is, children go through mental health issues and they struggle. Okay? So when a child is going through something, can you listen? Before I have said, give attention. Be patient with children. For us to give the proverb, the Galatians 5:23 to 22-23 children to the world, or adults who can fit in the world, please ensure that you have done these things. Share your feelings, validate their own feelings. Tell them the truth. We tend to lie easily around them, and they can see. Hata siko home, na uko home. So you're modeling a behavior that they need to pick in life and just be or do what you're saying. Let's be consistent in parenting, in disciplining children. Keep your promise. If you do this, I will do this. Then can you do it? Because they've done it. And teach them how to be safe. Tell them, when you walk out, be careful, because situational awareness. Make sure you're aware of your environment. Like teenagers, they'll walk out, they'll go, they're meeting people, they're doing things. They don't care how the repercussions of what they're doing. Teach them safety, personal safety. Believe in them. And then use open-ended questioning to help them just connect with the world. My husband likes using, when we're doing Bible study, because that's one way of us connecting with them. We do Bible study every evening. We do a hymn, and then we read a word and then pray. He will challenge their thinking and say, so like, for example, there was a time we were discussing about asking God. Anytime you need something, ask God. Don't just do things and then say, wow, God help me. And then he asked them, so does it mean thieves also ask God to help them not to be caught? Then they were like, yeah. And God listens, yes. So then why do we ask if he helps even the wrong people? Helping them think, it is very important. We have scheduled family time for us. It's Bible study. Sometimes I do dances with my kids. We dance a lot in this house. And so we find someone has put music and everybody is on the dance floor and we are dancing. And then limit electronics. I remember when the set one were in high school. In fact, I thought I made a blunder buying them phones. I was like, what did I do to myself? And so what I used to do is at 10 o'clock, there's a tray at my door. Everybody put your phone on that tray. Then I take the little tray into my room until the following day at 7, and I give back the phones or 8. And of course, if you make a mistake of removing the SIM card for whatever reasons, then I'll keep that phone. And so let them have time to sleep, because kids and electronics is just like adults. Some of us are on our phones until you fall asleep, then you drop it. And so it's a problem that we have to reach out. Reach out to your children, exercise together, model forgiveness. When someone is wrong, say, I forgive you, I'm sorry. Learn to say sorry when you're wrong. Respond calmly. Look at their behavior as a need so that you help them and not a problem that needs to be fixed. Okay? So it's very important that we engage with our children. We need to build relationships. Let's talk to them, engage them, talk to them about their interests. Let them share about their own lives. Let them do things with you, not just with themselves. Tell embarrassing stories about you growing up so that they don't look at life as if, like somebody asked, Ati, why is every mother perfect, calling themselves perfect, or they were number one, so who was number last? Because everybody was too good. So tell them embarrassing stories about things you've done. Do crazy things together. Do things they love to do. And as I conclude, here are some tips, especially the little kids. Make eye contact. It's very important when you're talking to them. They look into your eye and see you're not happy. Never ask something, never ask something more than twice, but ask when they're very young, repeat instructions and stop and say, what did I say? Let them respond. Pick your battles. Not all battles are to be fought. Like when their room is untidy, at some point I would get angry to a point I can't even eat. How can a room look like this? Then I go to a point I was like, oh, it's not even my room. Let me pass. I pass near that room. And when I want to cause trouble, I will cause trouble so that they clean their room, but not every time, because the boys' room is always just something else. Okay, in my house, maybe your houses are better. Know the triggers for those who throw tantrums and scream so that you don't do them. Practice prevention, be consistent. Okay? And why do we have to do positive discipline? We need to praise good things and call out bad behavior and say, that is not right, please stop. Set clear expectations, don't just threaten. Distract creatively for those who are throwing tantrums and you really want to change them and make them, do something else. Be creative and don't just say, nimesema. When they're throwing tantrums, nimesema doesn't work. So what are the strategies? We are looking at self-management. Now these are preteens, 11 and above. We're looking at self-management. How can they solve problems? Make it your problem to help them learn to solve problems. Flexibility, not rigidity, but I wanted to, and now I can't. No, it's okay to drop and pick something new. Teach them honesty. Let them be resilient. When something is difficult, keep trying. That's your language. Communicate. Like my daughter at some point struggled in Form 1, where she is in high school. And she kept saying, I can't go back. And I said, you know what? You don't walk away in life. You learn to manage. Those things you mentioned are manageable. This is how you're going to operate. If friends are mean, leave them. Other friends will come. It's not easy. You need your friends. I don't know. I'm like, no, you can move on. You have like 35 people in your class. You 57. You'll find another friend. Someone will come by. And with time, she's learned to know you don't walk out. You don't run away from problems. You deal with them. You learn to be resilient. So this is very important as parents, that we give them lifelong learning skills that when they leave, now my firstborn now is working. The 24-year-old is working. And at some point I was like, well, how will this guy fit in the job market? because I called an electrician in this house and he was on his phone throughout. Hey, niko job mahali nitakupigia. Lakini niambie kwanza. Right? We are standing, showing him the sockets to fix. So we have to wait. 2 minutes later, he's on phone. And I'm like, if this is what millennial is, then what happens next? But I'm glad he's fitted. He has favor with his bosses. He works so well because I sat him down and I was like, when you're given work, do it that day. Don't postpone to tomorrow. Bosses get angry. Learning to communicate, training them. But these are things I've done as they grew up. It's not like I'm starting today because now he's 20, he needs to go out. I start. No. Teach them responsible behavior, self-control, appropriate discipline, taking responsibility. Consistently discipline your children, even by just talking very softly. Talk about consequences. When you do this, this will happen. On your own actions, you've done this and this is going to happen. Encourage them. Don't just blast them. Encourage them. Let them learn to manage their feelings, okay? Bill Graham says a child who is allowed to be disrespectful to his parents will not have true respect for anyone. And of course, the Swahili saying, you can see it there. And remember, if you have children, when you finish with them, the rest of the world is taking over. So please teach them to respect people, because as the world takes over, it may not be very kind to your children who you shielded all their lives, and now they have to face the world. Now, at the job market, many of us are working or running businesses. As a leader, you have to influence your employees. And so as a parent, you have to influence your children. And remember, words have a lot of power. Don't tear down your children. Talk to them in a way that will build them. Just like if you're a boss, of course, you have to manage your employees by encouraging and not just putting people down. Now, finally, to whom it may concern, remember, family time has to be intentional. And I would end with 3 C's: calm, connection, consistency. If you're not consistent, they will not take it. And of course, parenting is not an easy journey. And so I pray that you will all find grace as you do this parenting. And Benjamin Franklin said, tell me and I'll forget, show me and I'll remember, involve me and I'll learn. So do a lot of things with your children. And of course, discipline will be enforced. Parenting will be an easier journey, and will submit children to the world that can have Galatians 5:22-23. Thank you. Over to you, Alex.
Oh, wow. Thanks a lot, Catherine, for the talk. Quite a lot of nuggets for us who are parents, quite a lot of nuggets. And thank you for sharing, especially from your own life. You've been a teacher for so many years, and you've understood children for quite a long time. So I'm going to give us an opportunity to ask questions. Remember, you can use our chat. I'm going to read some comments, even as you put in any question you may have for Catherine. She's here to answer you. In case you have a challenge in your own parenting journey, just be able to share it. I mean, just get an advice, a tip here and there that can be helpful for you. But just to be able to read some of the comments that have come in so far. I can see Teacher Caroline is saying that I find like we also that we are unable, or we don't adjust to the development stages of children. We want these teenagers to just be as obedient and do. As adults, there are days we wake up and we don't feel like doing anything. But when a teenager wakes up this way, we are quick to judge, punish, and quarrel with them. Let us try and understand, listen, and guide. Wow, that's a nice nugget from Caroline, that we are not conscious of the stages. We're always with the children. You don't understand. They're becoming teens. They're becoming adults. And thanks for that. Nancy is saying, when bringing up 21st century children, we need to remember that most of our traditional parenting and discipline methods are outdated. Wow, I would want to hear a comment from Catherine from that. Is it true that our parents' styles of parenting are outdated? Maybe you can share a little bit about that before we continue. You can unmute and
Very
share.
true, very true. Very true. I look at how my mom brought us up, or our parents, and the word love, the way we look at it today, was not, I think it was more of dealing with you more than loving you. You almost feel like you're a mistake here or something. And there was a lot of forceful parenting, forceful discipline. It's almost like beating was the only other way. And the only way. But today, like I told you, I tried beating with my set 1. It didn't work as much. Set 2 are children who've not been beaten. Can't remember the last time I beat. Oh, during Corona, they all got viboko because they were late for the online service. But it was everybody's in trouble, you know. But I have learned to speak to my children, sit them down and say, I have said, and I don't want to repeat. Allow me not to repeat because it's not nice. What have I said? And I keep telling them, I'm finishing my parenting journey. The world is taking over in a few. So kindly know that the things I've taught you, you're going to use them. So a lot of talking and calm talking, not rough talking, just calmness has really helped me today to parent, especially the teenagers and the young adults, talking with in fact, you're almost on stage acting like you're nice because you really want to communicate without anger. And they understand that better than when you're shouting. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm seeing who else?
Alex, you're muted.
Oh, you can hear me now? So Rose is saying, I'm loving this, so much insight, learning a lot. I'm a new parent. Thanks so much. Thanks, Catherine, for your help. Someone is saying, very insightful indeed. Thank you for the inspiration, Catherine. Anthony is saying, this has been very encouraging. Very important lessons learned. Keep it up. Mama Ivy is saying, how do you discipline an 18-month-old who keeps doing the things you tell them not to? Like going to the sockets, climbing dangerous places, etc. I think that's a common problem with the people whose children are getting into that 2-year age. I don't know what you can say about that.
The most impulsive thing is to hit, you know. Nimekukataza hiyo socket, you know, climbing. As young as 18 months, start speaking very firmly, use your head, use your eyes, open your eyes and look at them and say, don't touch that, it will burn you. And, you know, you can't demonstrate that burning, but my mom would light the kakiroboi, you know, the village flickering thing. And then because you keep on touching, my mom just brings it close and you touch and you burn and then you learn. You see, you don't have to learn from that. But I don't know how you, but insist, don't touch that. And they go to, don't touch that. And of course you can spank when you've repeated for 3 days and you repeat and repeat and they do it. They will learn. They will hear your tone. They will see your facial expression and they will know this woman is not a joke. But you see, most of us, you go spank without even explaining. And then they go again, you spank. So beating is the very first option parents do. And anytime you're beating, you're never beating when you're calm. You beat when you're angry. And that is destructive. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm so sure that's a problem because I know there are a lot of young parents, parents of young children, who are here. And that's an issue around that 2-year age. So thanks for that. And of course, knowing that that is a stage that is part of the process of growing, like we're talking about developmental stages. Caroline is saying great insights. Thanks. Flo is saying, wow, thank you a lot, Teacher Kate. I've learned and unlearned a lot. I purpose to be a better mom to my kids. Be blessed. Thank you so much, Flo, for that. Rhoda is saying, Aki, I've joined this late. Hope someone is recording, please. Yeah, so it's available on our YouTube, on our Facebook page. Sorry, I'm going to ask Kirote to share the page link just so that you can be able to catch up with that. Then let's see what other comment. I don't want to Magdalene is saying, I love this. I have learned a lot. Thank you, Catherine. Judy is saying, thanks for teaching. Blessed Kate, it was very insightful. Amazing reminders. My firstborn says her siblings got it easy. I get. Of course, that's the same story with Catherine's children. They're like, I wish I was born younger. Yeah, thanks for that. Amos is saying, great insights. Thank you, my sister. Mercy is saying, thank you. Naomi is saying, great insights. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you, Catherine. Susan, Josephine is saying, wisdom. Jane is saying, I think I have overdone spanking, really doing what I saw my mom doing. I do not like it. Yeah, so Jane is saying she's repeating the same mistakes. And I think it's so easy to default to its spanking because, of course, it gives you instant results. But as Catherine is saying, we walk a journey with the children, and it's always nice to we have been told some of those things are outdated. So thanks a lot. Ivy is saying, thank you, helpful. Rose is saying, but need to balance so that you don't kill. They are explorative. It is my pronunciation, and discovery, and help them discover. In other words, it's important not to beat them. Maybe they are, of course, probably responding to the socket and the 18-year-old trying out things. This is the discovery age in their developmental growth. So you have to balance between killing their desire to explore, desire to learn new things, desire to discover stuff, even as we punish them. Yeah, teach them why not to touch, because it's dangerous. You can use a picture of maybe a child who has touched, maybe his hair is burnt or something. Yeah, he's saying good work and thank you for sharing the link. So the link is there. You can be able to see the video. Jane, how do I change from spanking to better, especially my talking with children? So you're saying I'm defaulted spanking. How do I change that to starting to have a conversations? My children are even afraid of me. For example, the oldest, who is 4. I think Jane is at a stage where the children are young, and maybe Catherine, you can advise. So she defaulted in spanking, probably like you did at your very early and first set. How do you change that to now wanting to hold a conversation, being more patient and wanting to discipline them the conversational way, so to say? So maybe you can be able to share a little bit on that.
Okay. Let me just go back to a slide that I had shared about that. The slide that talked about this. Now, on this slide, we see discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Punishment in making a child suffer for having a problem. Spanking, like, is it Alice? Like she shares, is very instant. And anytime we are spanking, most of the time you're very angry. Now, one thing I learned is that if I need to spank with my set 2 now, if I need to spank, I will sit that child down and tell them, how many times have I mentioned this? And why have you repeated without thinking of the consequences? I have told you this and I've repeated, and here you're doing this. And today I'm going to beat you. I'm not beating you to hurt you, but to remind you that what I've said many times, you're not doing it. Now, as little as 4-year-old, let me tell you, ages 2, 3, 4 can try your life, can make you feel like you made a mistake or something to bring them here. But as they grow older, they outgrow those things. It is just training. Alice, you need to have a meeting with yourself. Have a meeting with yourself. Talk to yourself about, how am I going to handle this? Like almost one of the things that the 3 C's is calm. Almost like you're ignoring what you're seeing. To deal with it internally, you have to have a meeting with yourself, Alice. Deal with it internally before you even speak. Because you're going to speak what will grow them and not kill them. Nitakupiga. Those statements, parents love them. But they're not nice. Because they're threats and then humpigi. So you're making this child grow to be defiant in a way, because you'll repeat things that you never do. And so you're training them and then you're not growing them. So learn to calm. In fact, pray for calmness. Pray for calmness so that you're able to connect with the error and help them improve. Because sometimes even anger issues that we have, some of them are very genetic. My mom is always angry, so I am always angry. And then in our family, sisi ukasirika, unapiga, unaua. So learn to pray about it so that you now learn to talk. Kuja hapa. 4-year-old can listen. Yanaenda shule. Si mwalimu akimwambia akae yeye ukaa. Mbona yeye anakataa kusikiza wewe? Because we are mixed up in parenting. Come sit here. I have told you, I do not want you to climb on that chair because this chair is very unstable. Look, then you drop the chair and tell them, now if I find you climbing again, I will beat you. And true to your word, because you've told them itamwangusha na ukaangusha kiti, their brain now sees the repercussions, the consequences. They will be able to work on it. So you have to patiently, in fact, watch a spanking for a week. Uanze kuandika chini vitu utasema, so that you train yourself to restrain beating as the only option. Because when you beat, they cry and go and you think you've solved. You've not. You're only killing them. You're only killing their creativity. You're making them feel like they can't try again. Yeah, that's my take.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, so Jane, maybe you can look at that. You just pray. You can always start changing slowly, and of course not be so hard on yourself. Then Faith is asking, some of us are not on Facebook, any chance you could share on YouTube? So we are going to be sharing on YouTube later. And maybe I can say this for Faith or anyone else. Yeah, if you can be able to share your email address, either with on the chat, or share it with the participant called the Pedium Foundation. So Anne has a participant called the Pedium Foundation. They can be able to share the slides. They can be able to give you the link, so you can be able to chat. We'll be able to get back to you, and maybe you can be able to do that. And anybody else who'd like to be updated about our future parental talks, you can just be able to share your email address, and we'll be able to update you anytime we have a chat like this one. Yeah. So let me see. Quite a lot. Let me just go through them very quickly. Men discovering, yeah, I saw that. Thank you, Kate. Flo is saying parenting can be a confusing journey, and especially for those of us who are brought up with severe caning, and I think a majority of us were there, yeah, that felt like attempted murder. May God help us not to bring up traumatized kids and kids who will grow up with childhood wounds, yeah, because of words we've spoken to them in anger. Yeah, that's a prayer. At times, we, as Catherine shared, we model what we see, and it's so important to be intentional and conscious so that you don't repeat the mistakes that we saw. So yeah, it's true. That's a prayer for all of us. Learning to calm down before I discipline is the best I ever did, even for myself. My 4-year-old can really test one's patient. Such platforms are very helpful. We need more of this. Thank you so much. Tips from for teenage bringing up. This is Nancy. Thank you very much. They'll always tend to believe their peers over you. Rules do not come without a reason. Their emotions scream louder than their threats and warnings. They need your approval, but at times their peers' approvals override you. So those are just reality of teens that you need to be aware, especially the people who are getting there, where you're getting towards teens. You need to know that at times you need to discipline early, because a time will come when maybe it is what you had put in when they were younger that will count more than when they are older. So anyone else, just share your email. I can see I've gone through any, unless there's a burning question. I can see we've spent our time well. Yeah, in case you would want to share your email, again on the chat or directly to the participant called the Pedium Foundation. So through participant, I'm sure she's up there. You can be able to share your email. We'll be able to get back to you. But thank you so much for staying along with us till this very tail end. We really hope that you've gained something. I am always confident when I call Catherine. She's full of experience. You've heard of all her journey. She has sets of children, and she's always around children, to be very honest. And so thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing your insight. Thank you for those nuggets that you can be able to keep hearing these conversations, because parenting, as we've seen, is a journey that we have to keep calling ourselves to meetings, so to say. We have to keep auditing ourselves. Are we doing the right thing? Are we creating trauma? Are we, because it's so easy to slip back to the easier ways, to the default ways, to the ways we saw ourselves brought up. And so these conversations keep reminding us that we need to go back to the drawing board, keep reminding ourselves of doing the right thing so that we can be able to get there. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to ask Anne to be able to close us for us with a word of prayer. I'm really liking Jane's email address. I think this is why maybe you should just send directly to the Padium Foundation. It's called ugalimanago@gmail. Wow, that's an interesting one. Yeah, but keep sharing your email addresses. I'm going to ask Anne to be able to come and close for us. I can see we are well within our time and call it a day. Yeah. So in case you have any questions, maybe Anne, you can share our email address also, just in case someone would like, or I can share that as you close. Amma?
Okay, yeah. You can share it as I close.
Is it?
Engage.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine, for honoring us with your wisdom and your experience, just for sharing your story and also sharing about discipline. So thank you very much. That was quite informative. And thank you all for sticking with us till this point. Kindly let's close with a word of prayer. Father God, we give you glory and thanks for this opportunity to just say thank you for being with us with the seminar. We prayed at the beginning, Lord, and you've been faithful to see us through to the end. Thank you for the knowledge that we've acquired today. And we pray that, Father God, we'll be able to relate and interact with children in a different and better way. Thank you for every parent that is here. Father, they're here because they have the intention to be better, Lord, even in terms of discipline, and probably some are facing challenges. Lord, we pray that you're going to help them, Father God, be able to navigate this. We also pray for the children who are represented here, Lord. We pray that you're going to help them grow up to be obedient, Lord, and that they may be able to be children and people of impact in their society. Father, we pray for the remaining part of the night. May you be with us and keep us well. For it is in Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. You can have a good evening, a good night. Yeah. And we really appreciate the time. Thank you. And kwaheri. Yeah, as you leave, anybody who needs to leave their email address, you can always drop it as you leave. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Caroline, Edith. Thanks, Faith. Thanks, Flo. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jane, for coming in. Thank you, Nancy, Naomi. Thank you, Rhoda. Romona, thank you. Rose, once again. Selahatin, thank you. And Caroline, Kimani, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There are more comments in the chat. I think the email addresses or something. You will take note.
Oh, I missed a comment.
No, maybe email addresses.
Oh, yeah, those are email addresses. Yeah, you can always leave your email addresses as you leave. We will be able to get back in touch, especially to update you of future events. Thank you very much. So much, Catherine. Tumeshukuru. Yeah, thank you so much. That was a lovely talk. Wow, it was really a lovely one.
Yes, it was.
Really appreciate.
Asante sana.
Mm.
You're
Uko
muted.
mute.
Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. Yeah.
Sawa sawa. Hey,
Yeah.
really appreciate. Those are 45 parents. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
quite a community.
Quite
And
a
of
number,
course on Facebook. Yeah, so hiyo ni impact we really appreciate. So huko una parent yako tu, ulikuwa una parent yetu si wote.
Alex, are we still live on Facebook?
Oh yeah, by the way.
Yes, we're still live. Hey.
I'll adjust, don't worry.